Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bullvine Podcast. I'm your host, Bella, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Douglas. We have an incredibly inspiring episode lined up for you today that I know will resonate with everyone in our dairy community.
That's right, Bella. Today we're diving into the remarkable journey of Tom and Kelli Cull of Budjon Farms. If you're in the Holstein world, you've definitely heard these names. Over the past quarter century, this power couple has transformed a modest farming operation into one of the most respected breeding programs in the industry. Their story is packed with lessons about resilience, innovation, and unwavering commitment.
What I love about their story is how relatable their beginnings are. Many of our listeners started on small family farms just like Tom did, and Kelli's background in the AI industry is something many professionals will connect with. We'll explore how they built their business, overcame significant challenges, and created a legacy that continues to impact the dairy world.
So get comfortable, whether you're in the milking parlor, driving your tractor, or just taking a break from farm chores. You're about to hear a story that might just change how you think about your own operation.
Let's start at the beginning. Tom's story begins, like many of our listeners' stories, on a small family farm in Pewaukee, just west of Milwaukee. Douglas, can you paint that picture for our audience?
Tom grew up on what he describes as a modest operation, about 50 cows in a tie stall barn with 260 acres of land, all Holsteins. Like most farm kids, he balanced daily chores with school and sports. His family wasn't specifically breeding or buying animals for the show ring. They worked with what they had, showing their everyday cows at local fairs.
It's amazing to think that someone who's now considered an industry icon started with such humble beginnings. It really shows what's possible with dedication and vision. The turning point came when Tom's brothers showed two special young cows, Budjon Raider Annie and Budjon Starbuck Winnie, and things really took off from there.
Meanwhile, Kelli was on a completely different path in the AI industry. She was putting in serious miles, around 70,000 miles yearly, covering a 7-state area, first for sire power and later for Alta Genetics.
70,000 miles a year? That's incredible. That's like driving around the earth almost 3 times.
It's a staggering number. And during all that travel, Kelli was absorbing ideas from different farms and management systems. When she helped launch the Peak Young Sire program, she was exposed to countless different approaches to dairy management. All those ideas would later shape what Budjon Farms would become.
And I love how Kelli took all those exhausting road miles and turned them into practical innovations. For example, their calf warming room was designed after a system she'd seen at a young sire herd in northwest Wisconsin. It's a perfect example of how exposure to different operations can spark new ideas for your own farm.
So Bella, Tom, and Kelli tied the knot in 2000. Which means they just celebrated their 25th anniversary this March. But they weren't just building a marriage, they were creating the foundation for a revolutionary business model.
Their partnership actually began a few years before they married, right? In 1996, they partnered with Joel Keatsman to acquire Cruel Broker Elegance, followed by housing Van Dyke K Integrity Paradise for Mark Ruth in 1997. These early partnerships planted the seeds for what would eventually grow into Budjon Boarding.
After moving to Lemira in 1998, they spotted a gap in the market that no one else had filled. They realized there was a need for specialized care for show animals owned by families who didn't have the facilities or expertise to raise them properly.
That's such a brilliant business insight. They essentially created a service that didn't exist before, allowing more families to participate in showing without needing to become full-time dairy farmers.
Tom explains it like this. We started a market of buying and selling cattle to local Wisconsin families that maybe weren't able or didn't have the facilities to raise show animals. Their kids were involved and wanted to show in junior Holstein shows, so they'd purchase these animals and then leave them with us for daily care.
And from those first local clients, their reputation spread throughout Wisconsin. Some of those early partnerships, like the one with the Crave family from Waterloo, continue strong today, more than 2 decades later. That speaks volumes about the quality of their work and the trust they've built.
Tom and Kelli have said, "We did not start trying to make the business we are today. Rather, we started with some small partnerships that grew into larger ones, and these partnerships created more partnerships." I think there's a powerful lesson there about organic growth and letting your reputation build your business.
You know, Douglas, behind every successful person, there's usually some pivotal advice or mentorship that changed everything. Tom had one of those moments during his first year at the University of Wisconsin-Madison in 1993.
While working as a clipper for Harry Wire of Dundee-eyed Holsteins, Tom approached Pam Wire-Nunes at the spring show, asking how to improve his skills. Her reply was simple but life-changing. Go work with Joel Keatsman and Mark Ruth.
Isn't it amazing how 7 simple words can set someone on an entirely new path? Both men took Tom under their wing, instilling their work ethic and cattle preparation skills in him. I think many of our listeners can probably point to similar moments when the right advice at the right time changed everything.
For Kelli, professional development came less from direct advice and more from her commitment to being a role model herself. She says, "I think the most important hat I wear is one of a mentor." Her personal motto is, "Get what you give in life," which I think beautifully summarizes her approach.
That philosophy of giving back and mentoring others is clearly important to both of them. I think it explains a lot about why they've had such an impact on the industry beyond just their breeding program.
Every success story includes overcoming significant challenges, and Tom and Kelli's journey is no exception. One of the most remarkable examples is Kelli's health journey in 2018.
That year was incredibly difficult for Kelli. At just 45 years old, she underwent not 1, but 2 hip replacement surgeries after suffering from osteoarthritis for nearly a year. Can you imagine running a dairy operation while dealing with that level of pain?
Her doctor was adamant that she stay completely away from the farm for 2 full months to ensure proper recovery. For someone whose life revolves around the farm, that must have felt like an eternity. Then 10 months after the first surgery, she had her second hip replaced right after the World Dairy Expo.
But here's where the story becomes truly inspirational. In 2024, at age 51, with 2 artificial hips, Kelli power walked a half marathon, completing the 13.1 miles in just 3 hours after training for more than 3 months. That's the definition of resilience.
What's fascinating is how Kelli's hip journey parallels that of one of Budjon's most celebrated cows, Subliminal, who in 2013 overcame a severe hip dislocation. Kelli jokes that 2 of Tom's favorite women in his life have fake or repaired hips.
But there's a serious side to this story, too. Subliminal's year-long recovery, using slings, hobbles, and a specialized sand pen, directly influenced the design of Budjon's new facility, which now includes a dedicated sand pen area for injured or recovering animals. They've even invested in a float tank and blood analysis equipment to address metabolic health situations quickly.
I think that illustrates something important about Tom and Kelli's approach. They turn personal challenges into solutions that benefit all their animals. Their philosophy seems to be that repair and recovery take time, and you have to allow people and animals to live in an environment that nurtures them back to health.
Douglas, I think our listeners would enjoy hearing about some of the mishaps Tom and Kelli have experienced while traveling to shows. Because behind every polished show ring victory, there's usually a collection of disasters that never make it into the winner's circle photos.
One of my favorites involves Tom's ingenious but initially flawed big storage carts designed for show setup. Picture this. They arrive at their first show in Quebec, roll these massive carts off the trailer, and all the wheels immediately break off.
Oh no, what did they do?
Continuing the story, they fixed them with heavy caster wheels before their next show, the Royal. But the saga continued. As they rolled the carts down the back road towards the barns, the caster wheels began to break apart. They barely got them into the barn.
And the punchline is that after Tom finally found a durable solution, many people have copied the carts for themselves. Isn't that always the way? Your disasters become someone else's inspiration.
Then there's the tale of Mandy, a tabby farm cat who stowed away in their trailer during a trip to Louisville. After disappearing into the fairgrounds for 5 days, she reappeared in their tent on show day, hung around while they showed their national champion, and eventually returned home to Wisconsin.
You really can't make these stories up. I think these kinds of mishaps and adventures are what make the show circuit so memorable. It's not just about the ribbons and champions, it's about the journey.
Speaking of champions, Tom's receipt of the prestigious Klussendorf Award speaks volumes about his impact on the industry. This honor recognizes not just his showmanship skills, but his significant contributions as a mentor to countless young exhibitors.
When asked about specific mentoring relationships that stand out, Tom highlighted several meaningful ones, including Kelly's nephews, Trevor Tooman, Chandler, and Calvin Benning, who transformed their modest beef farm into an efficient facility for show heifers.
He also mentioned Kylie Nichols, whose Jersey Homeridge Tianet overcame significant calving challenges to become a junior Supreme Champion and Jersey Jug Futurity winner. Beyond these examples, Tom and Kelli have mentored numerous fitters and show crew members who have become like family.
I love their approach to staff training. They tell their team, put your phone down and eyes up. Observe, watch, listen. That philosophy applies far beyond the barn. It's a lesson we could all use in our increasingly distracted world.
Absolutely. In an age where we're constantly looking at screens, they remind us that nothing replaces careful observation, whether we're talking about animal behavior or learning new skills.
Let's talk about some of the management principles that have made Budjon Farms so successful. What I love about their approach is that these principles can work for operations of all sizes, not just elite show herds.
First and foremost, observation trumps technology. That put your phone down and eyes up philosophy we just mentioned isn't just about training. It's the foundation of their animal care approach. They believe nothing replaces careful observation of animal behavior and needs.
They also emphasize facility respect, both for their staff and animals. Lead the animals as if you are at a show daily, they instruct. Every animal on this farm is treated with the utmost respect.
These might seem like simple principles, but they've yielded extraordinary results. The Culls have created specialized recovery environments, invested in diagnostic tools for immediate health monitoring, and maintained an unwavering commitment to excellence in their operation.
Let me share some specific Budjon management tips that our listeners could implement in their own operations.
Number 1, early disease detection. They've installed on-farm blood analysis equipment for rapid metabolic testing, allowing treatment before symptoms become severe.
Number 2, recovery environments. They've designed specialized sand pens for injured or recovering animals, providing secure footing that prevents further injury.
Number 3, specialized calf facilities. They created a dedicated warming room for starting calves in cold weather months before transitioning to outdoor hutches.
Number 4, observation-first approach. They train staff to recognize subtle behavioral changes that indicate an animal needs attention before symptoms appear.
And number 5, technology integration. They use custom software solutions that combine animal management with financial tracking to reduce administrative overhead.
These approaches may require initial investment, but they can substantially reduce veterinary costs and animal losses in the long term. It's about being proactive rather than reactive when it comes to herd health.
Working with your spouse 24/7 would break many marriages. So Bella, how have Tom and Kelli made it work for 25 years?
Their secret isn't particularly mysterious. It's just hard to execute consistently. They admit they're both type A in-charge personalities, which creates daily challenges, but has also made them great at what they each do.
Their approach involves clear role definition and some hard-earned relationship skills. They say, "We've learned to agree to disagree. We've learned to let things go. We've learned how to compromise."
These skills didn't come naturally. They were developed through years of working side by side, navigating challenges and celebrating triumphs together. Their partnership reveals complementary strengths.
Describing Tom with his quick wit, thought-out answers to any question, ability to see multiple angles to any situation, and problem-solving skills would have made an excellent lawyer in another life. Meanwhile, Kelli would have remained an entrepreneur, perhaps breeding and kenneling dogs, driven by her love of animals and business enjoyment.
When asked about their ideal dinner guests, Kelli's response reveals her admiration for strong female leadership. She said, "I would love to spend the day, go to the gym, have dinner, and play basketball with Pat Summitt," referring to the legendary women's basketball coach.
And both Tom and Kelli shared a touching wish. "Tom and I would like to have dinner with Matt Templeton and Annette Ostrom one more time." The wistfulness in that simple statement speaks volumes about the relationships they valued throughout their journey.
One of the most valuable business lessons from the Culls story is how they've used diversification to protect themselves against market volatility. Douglas, can you explain their approach?
The Culls' multifaceted business model offers a blueprint for sustainability in today's dairy industry, where milk price volatility can devastate even well-managed operations. Unlike conventional dairy farms that rely primarily on milk sales, Budjon has deliberately created multiple revenue streams.
Their boarding business, embryo work, and show preparation services provide income stability when any sector faces challenges. This approach has allowed them to weather economic storms that have forced many traditional operations to exit the industry.
While specific economic data isn't publicly available, the longevity of their business model speaks volumes. They've maintained profitability through some of the dairy industry's most challenging decades. Their 25-year success story demonstrates that specialized services can create significant value when traditional commodities face price pressure.
For conventional dairy producers considering diversification, the Budjon model suggests starting with your operation's unique strengths and gradually expanding into complementary services. This might mean offering custom heifer raising, specialized breeding services, or even educational programs, whatever leverages your expertise while creating new revenue opportunities.
Tom and Kelli have noted, "Looking back, I can identify that we have adjusted our business model several times over the past 25 years. That willingness to evolve and adapt is crucial in today's rapidly changing agricultural landscape."
If you had to distill the Budjon way into 3 words, Tom and Kelli wouldn't hesitate: never give up.
This philosophy resonates through their choice of theme song, "The Champion" by Carrie Underwood, which perfectly captures their journey from modest beginnings to industry leadership. Each letter in Champion carries a special meaning. C, courage; H, honor; A, attitude; M, motivation; P, persevere; I, integrity; O, optimistic; N, necessary.
We truly have paid our dues, they say. We have physically worked our whole lives, and when we go to any show, we always want to be a force to reckon with.
Their legacy isn't just about winning ribbons or breeding exceptional cattle. It's about establishing a new business model in the dairy industry. We laid the foundation on how to build a boarding business that is not focused and does not rely on just one avenue or revenue stream, but is multifaceted, they explain.
The Culls' diversified approach offers valuable lessons in an industry facing significant economic challenges, from milk price volatility to rising input costs. By expanding beyond traditional milk production to include specialized boarding services, embryo work, and show preparation, they've created multiple revenue streams that provide stability when one sector struggles. And as Tom and Kelli celebrate their 25th year in business in 2025, their story continues to inspire dairy farmers and breeders everywhere. From their humble beginnings, Tom on that small family farm in Pewaukee and Kelli logging all those miles in the AI industry, they've built not just a successful business, but a model for excellence that others can follow.
Their journey hasn't been without challenges, from health issues to the constant demands of evolving with the industry. But Budjon Farms' ability to adapt, innovate, and stay true to its core values has secured its place among the elite.
What strikes me most about Tom and Kelli's story isn't just what they've accomplished, it's how they've accomplished it. They've created something special with unwavering dedication, genuine passion, and a partnership built on mutual respect and complementary strengths.
And if there's one lesson we can all take from the Culls, whether we're dairy farmers or not, it's those three simple words that have guided them through every challenge: never give up.
As they put it, we will exhaust every possibility when it comes to problem solving and caring for animals. And when we can't do it, we will network and figure out another solution. Rarely do we ever give up.
That's all for today's episode of the Bullvine Podcast. We hope you found inspiration and practical ideas in the story of Tom and Kelli Cull. Remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and join us next time for more insights from the dairy industry's most innovative minds.
Until then, keep dreaming big and never give up. This is Bella.
And Douglas, signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Bullvine Podcast.